not expecting you to come back. So, did you sell the dagger that I gave you? You did. Oh, I see. And now you're back at the Mage's College for... Oh. You want to learn about soul gem ethics. Feeling a little bad about trapping something soul and then using it on a weapon or a crown or something. Yeah, I know what you mean. Many mages don't care, but it seems that you and I are two of a kind. Well, we can have this discussion, but it's gonna take a long time, and you and I are really gonna have to chat it out. There's no way I can tell you all in one session, so we're gonna have to go through one soul gem at a time. You're on board? Fine, let's do it then. I have several gems in here. There's the Betty soul gem right there. There's the sapphire and so on, but it looks like we want to discuss soul gems today. Let me grab my Dwemer artifact. And of course the soul gem. So, firstly, I need to describe why these are soul gems. You may look at this and say, oh, well, why can't I use an amethyst? Why can't I use a sapphire or use a ruby? Soul gems, you see, are mined from a specific magical ore. They are also purple like amethyst, but these ones, when paired with the conjuring magic, are able to retain magic, and, well, at our base, our souls are magical, which means that these soul gems that can retain spells or retain magical words or magical abilities can also maintain and hold our souls. Now, not many know what goes on inside a soul gem, but one does know that you can only reach into a soul gem if you die. With that in mind, we need to remember that there is ethics with maintaining souls. Now, these are petty soul gems. You might ask yourself, what can go inside a petty soul gem? That is things classified as petty souls. So, in order to delve into that, we will need to jump into our book here, and I will demonstrate to the best of my ability what I mean. Inside these soul gems, specifically petty ones, gems, their strength varies, which means that they can fill lesser soul gems. Now, with that in mind, there are some other issues with that. It really does vary for each mage. Some mages, specifically I'll say those who do healing magic or illusion, care more about the lives of beings and don't think that putting a rabbit or a fox living in nature into a petty soul gem makes much sense. Now, these are captured of your own choosing, so you make the decision when you put a soul into a soul gem. That means that, depending on your beliefs, you will decide where the souls go. Soul gem ethics is that study. It is the reasoning behind why we should choose to put only deserving souls. We put only deserving souls into the gems. Now, what does that mean? Petty soul gems are actually the most difficult to justify. For most of the souls that will fill a soul gem are animals. And whether you want to discuss mud crabs or wolves and think they are deserving for attacking you, much of the time they are only defending what they believe is their territory. Now, of course, what can we say for those who prove the common trade? But we do not need to delve into those topics. In order to find an ethical way of filling your petty soul gems, you need to use petty soul gems to a proper purpose. Now, what does purpose link to the ethical portion? Well, it means using the soul to its fullest capabilities. So, in this instance, say I were enchanting a golden ring, right? And I were to use a petty soul gem. That would give it a level 1 to 2 enchantment. Not very great. However, there are purposes for this, whether they're monetary see you soon.